What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA Sunday, November 14th. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, we have a 5-game slate tonight, so let's take a look at the point guard position. So this is going to be a video of mostly value plays. I'm going to be doing value plays pretty much all the time now. I just figure you're going to get more value by finding these diamonds in the rough, these low salary players who can crush value so you can fit in studs to the rest of your lineup, then just hope your studs hit. So let's get into this. At the point guard position, I like Alex Caruso from the Chicago Bulls playing the LA Clippers, who have a good defense overall. They've been middle of the pack defending opposing point guards. Alex Caruso has averaged 22.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 27 minutes per game with a 14% usage rate. He's projected at 22 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.5 times value. He's 4,000 DraftKings salary, 600 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 217.5 points scored in this game. And Alex Caruso has scored 17, 33, and 17 fantasy points in his last 3 games, playing 24, 22, and 23 minutes. So I like Alex Caruso here versus the LA Clippers. Okay, now this guy's not a value play, but I'm going to throw in a stud here and there when they have a good matchup and they're in a good spot. So I like Chris Paul from the Phoenix Suns playing the Houston Rockets, who have the second worst defense overall. They give up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing point guards. Chris Paul has averaged 42 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 32 minutes per game with a 19% usage rate. He's projected at 41.9 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.8 times value. He's 8,700 DraftKings salary, 200 less on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 222 points scored in this game, and Chris Paul has scored 49, 38, and 33 fantasy points in his last 3 games, playing 27, 36, and 25 minutes. Now I like this pick because Chris Paul has scored 48, 34, 52, 27, and 56 fantasy points in his last 5 games versus the Rockets. So 3 out of those 5 games, he scored close to 50 fantasy points or more. It's a great matchup. So I like Chris Paul here versus the Houston Rockets. Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching. If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal, all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won, and we'll send you $25 PayPal. So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you. Okay, let's take a look at the shooting guard position. I like Lou Dort from the Oklahoma City Thunder playing the Brooklyn Nets, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They've been middle-of-the-pack defending opposing shooting guards. Lou Dort has averaged 25.3 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game with a 21% usage rate. He's projected at 25.9 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.2 times value. He's 5,000 DraftKings salary, 500 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 213 points scored in this game, and Lou Dort has scored 36, 37, and 22 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 32, 33, and 34 minutes. So I like Luguentz Dort here versus the Brooklyn Nets. And another value play I like is Kelly Oubre Jr. from the Charlotte Hornets playing the Golden State Warriors, who have a good defense overall. They give up the 5th most fantasy points to opposing shooting guards. Kelly Oubre Jr. has averaged 24 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 27 minutes per game with a 21% usage rate. He's projected at 22.6 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.2 times value. He's 4,300 DraftKings salary, 800 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 225 points scored in this game, and Kelly Oubre Jr. has scored 16, 51, and 13 fantasy points in his last 3 games, playing 27, 30, and 17 minutes. So I like Kelly Oubre Jr. here versus the Golden State Warriors. Okay, let's take a look at the small forward position. I like Andre Iguodala. Here's a super value play for you. Andre Iguodala, he's from the Golden State Warriors playing the Charlotte Hornets, who have the worst defense overall. They give up the 8th most fantasy points to opposing small forwards. And Andre Iguodala has averaged 18 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 21 minutes per game with a 10% usage rate. He's projected at 17.8 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.7 times value. He's 3,100 DraftKings salary, 800 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 225 points scored in this game, and Iguodala has scored 18, 24, and 11 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 18, 24, and 19 minutes. So I like Andre Iguodala as a value play here versus the Charlotte Hornets. Okay, I also like Miles Bridges from the Charlotte Hornets playing the Golden State Warriors, who have a good defense overall. They give up the 5th most fantasy points to opposing small forwards. Miles Bridges has averaged 41.6 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 36 minutes per game with a 24% usage rate. He's projected at 42 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 5.4 times value. He's 7,800 DraftKings salary, 500 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 225 points scored in this game.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
And Miles Bridges has scored 42, 36, and 36 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 36, 31, and 43 minutes. So I like Miles Bridges here versus the Golden State Warriors. Okay, let's take a look at the power forward position. I like Darius Bazley from the Oklahoma City Thunder playing the Brooklyn Nets, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They give up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing power forwards. Darius Bazley has averaged 25.8 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 28 minutes per game with a 20% usage rate. He's projected at 26.9 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.3 times value. He's 5,100 DraftKings salary, 500 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 213 points scored in this game, and Darius Bazley has scored 30, 24, and 36 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 33, 33, and 32 minutes. So I like Darius Bazley here versus the Brooklyn Nets. I also like Jae'Sean Tate from the Houston Rockets playing the Phoenix Suns, who have a good defense overall. They've been good versus opposing power forwards. Jae'Sean Tate has averaged 25.6 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 27 minutes per game with a 19% usage rate. He's projected at 26.8 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.2 times value. He's 5,200 DraftKings salary, 400 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 222 points scored in this game, and Jae'Sean Tate has scored 25, 31, and 35 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 24, 28, and 32 minutes. So I like Jae'Sean Tate here versus the Phoenix Suns. Okay, moving on to the center position. Here's a super value play. I like Isaiah Hartenstein from the LA Clippers playing the Chicago Bulls, who have a good defense overall. They give up the 8th most fantasy points to opposing centers. Isaiah Hartenstein has averaged 19.8 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 17 minutes per game with an 18% usage rate. He's projected at 20.2 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 6.1 times value. He's only 3,300 DraftKings salary, 700 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 217.5 points scored in this game. And Isaiah Hartenstein has scored 40, 17, and 21 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 25, 17, and 17 minutes. So I like Isaiah Hartenstein here versus the Chicago Bulls. And another value play at the center position, I like LaMarcus Aldridge from the Brooklyn Nets playing the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have the 3rd worst defense overall. They give up the absolute most fantasy points to opposing centers. LaMarcus Aldridge has averaged 23.6 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 20 minutes per game with a 23% usage rate. He's projected at 24.2 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.6 times value. He's 4,300 DraftKings salary, 900 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 213 points scored in this game, and LaMarcus Aldridge has scored 20, 35, 34 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 22, 22, and 23 minutes. So I like LaMarcus Aldridge here versus the Oklahoma City Thunder.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.